3 minutes to go.
We're all ready for tomorrow's race, but before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who'll be fronting the grid. Verstappen, Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. Goodbye for now then, but really we're just getting started. Make sure to join us again for Lights Out. Welcome to the Miami International Autodrome, home of the Miami Grand. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Ocon, the owner driver, and Perez, Russell, Norris, Sainz, and Fernando Alonso, Ricciardo, Albon, Kevin Magnussen, and Mick Schumacher, Tsunoda, Gasly, Lance Stroll, and Sebastian Vettel, Latifi, Liam Lawson, Joe, and Jenson Button. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. Well, it's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers to...
Focus now for the rest of the race. drying out quite soon. Be careful you don't burn out your tyres. Rain before it starts to dry up. Inters look like the best tyre for now. Norris has just put in the fastest lap of the race so far. Inters seem to be the fastest tyre for now. Okay, gap to the car ahead is 1.5 seconds. No threat of rain for the time being, conditions look good. Inters look like the best tyre for now. Okay, the officials have deployed the safety car due to multiple cars being stopped on track. Mind your delta. Okay, radar is clear, weather is looking good for now. We're not certain which is the best tyre right now, dries or inters. Bad, are you alright? Let me know you're okay.
Great show of skill from our race winners today. Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently, and it's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be so proud of the victory they secured here. So let's see what effect this result has had on the drivers' standings. Charles Leclerc, currently leading the championship standings, extends his lead even further with this result. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
I think for driver of the day, I'd probably pick Lando Norris. He lived up to every inch of his reputation today, and I think he'll be going home, quite rightly, a bit proud.
30 seconds left in the session.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves once again of our top three: Ricciardo, Leclerc, and Carlos Sainz. With qualifying wrapped up now, we have our The Spanish Grand Prix has been a permanent fixture on the Formula One calendar for over 30. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Daniel Ricciardo starts from pole position today, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Sainz, Norris, Esteban Ocon, and Perez. Fernando Alonso, Tsunoda, Russell, and Jenson Button. The owner-driver, Hamilton, Liam Lawson, and Vettel. Albon, Magnussen, Mick Schumacher, and Max Verstappen. Latifi, Joe, Gasly. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. Now it's almost time for lights out.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down. race. DRS is being enabled this lap. We can use DRS when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone. Okay, we're monitoring somewhere on the internal combustion engine. Be aware that we're going to start to see a loss of power. Okay, you're in the top 10. Pitting this lap then, come into the pits at the end of this lap. That was a fantastic stop, faster than we were expecting. Look after these tyres now and want to finish the race on this compound. They're 8th. The difference is 5.0 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. We think they've got one more stop. Time last lap, they're 8th. And so the difference is 22.2 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. We think they've got one more stop. Time last lap was a 1:20.4. Gap ahead is 6.1 seconds. ahead now, running medium tyres. Laps of fuel remaining. Strategy available on the MFD.
A real team effort then, which has paid off. Here come our winners now, a thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Charles Leclerc, currently leading the championship standings, extends his lead even further with this result. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Natalie Pinkham, come on, who do you pick?
Often, my go-to would be a driver who's managed to pull off an especially impressive feat during the race. However, in this instance,